Well, I cannot sit up here and say that it's absolutely impossible to handle more than one opponent because I've done it in a real fight, and I know other people have done it in real fights. I've seen other people handle more than one person in a real fight. So I'm not going to sit up here and say that it's impossible to fight against multiple opponents and that the only option that you have is running, because there is no only, there is no always, there is no this is the only way to handle something. There are different ways to handle something. And a lot of times, especially when you're talking about multiple attackers, it all depends upon who the multiple attackers are, who the single defenders are, what the circumstances are. You know, if you can run, I would recommend running. If you're unarmed, I would recommend running. If you're unarmed and they're unarmed, you might stand a chance if you outclass them that much. Sure, you can take on more than one of them. The most I've taken on is 2. I saw a guy take on 3. That's the most I've seen somebody take on. Someone else told me he took on 5, and he told me I should be able to handle 5 people with my ability. I don't know. I hope I never have to find that out. Okay? So this thing of it's impossible to fight more than one person is just flat out not true. It is possible. But at the same time, is there a guarantee? No martial arts technique is guaranteed 100% of the time. It's just not. There are no guarantees. Even guns malfunction. Even a nuclear warhead could not function because it could be a dud. There's no perfect martial art technique. There's no perfect style. There's nothing, there's no always. It's just not the way life works. Even pressure points. I've started looking into pressure points recently. They're not 100% guaranteed. They're not. Some people don't respond well to pressure points at all. Not every pressure point works on every person. There are some pressure points that don't work on me. And there are other pressure points that work extremely well on me more than they do other people. It's just based on how the person's wired, what kind of medical conditions they have, that type of thing. So to sit up and act like, oh, you can't ever fight more than one person, you should run, you should just run. Can't always run, man. Can't always run. You can't always beat more than one person. But it is possible to beat more than one person. Depends on who they are. You're fighting a couple of scrubs, and you're not, you may be able to beat them. On the other hand, I also heard of a guy, I'm not going to say who it is, I heard of a man who got beat up by 2 women. And he was a big guy. But they caught him off guard. He didn't see it coming. That's another thing. What if you don't see it coming? What if you don't hear it coming? You don't feel it coming? Or by the time you do, it's too late? Then somebody who's not as good as you could get you by ambush. So basically, there's no guarantees or absolutes in fighting. You know, and stop sitting up here and telling people what they can and can't do because you can't do it. I mean, that's what I tell people. I'm like, if there's a technique I have trouble with, I tell them, I have never been able to use this technique successfully. This technique is not good for me, but you may be able to do it. Oh, another thing, as far as what's actually the biggest lie in martial arts, I think actually the biggest lie in martial arts is that technique overcomes everything. No, technique does not overcome everything. It doesn't mean that a smaller person can't beat a larger person with technique, because I've seen that happen. And what I want to say is, it's not really that the lie is that technique overcomes everything per se, is that you could just be in absolute terrible shape and your technique could be so good that you can survive a violent encounter. That's not true, because if you're in truly just totally, utterly terrible health, the worst health you could be in is right before you're gonna die. laying prone on your deathbed. I bet if you got attacked on your deathbed, you couldn't defend yourself. No matter how good your technique is, right? Right. And that being said, I bet you there's still somebody who could defend themselves against an attacker while they're on their deathbed. So take that for what it's worth. Remember, I like what Patrice O'Neal says in some of his commentary. You know, you can't just always. Fallacious thinking, right? Right. Peace.